This is Michigan's retirement coach, Mike Douglas.
It is the time of year when you may be doing some spring cleaning. But ask yourself this question. When was the last time you did any kind of cleaning of your retirement savings? Be honest with yourself. I'm Heather Branch. This is certified financial planner Mike Douglas, also known as Michigan's retirement coach, here to share some of his insight, his knowledge on ways to better prepare for your financial future. And for a lot of folks, that does, Mike. It begins with a good scrubbing, a good once over everything, and cleaning out the closet.
Deep clean.
Deep
clean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because this is what, when we talk about folks coming into the office for a second opinion, that's what it is, right? It's basically pulling everything out. When you go to clean out a closet or clean out your desk or whatever, you pull everything out, you lay it all out, and you look at everything.
Yeah.
And that's what a second opinion is. They come to you, They say, here are all my statements, here's where everything is, and you lay it all out and you run over everything.
We call it the State of the Union. So basically it's kind of, here's everything we have, my investments, my insurances, my whatever, my tax returns, estate plan, everything.
Yeah.
Let's walk through it all and see where you sit. Because a lot of times people come in and we're like, hey, actually stuff looks pretty good or stuff looks really bad. But here's where you are. Second opinion is the way overused term, but a true X-ray, here's everything. Here's what I got.
A cleaning out. Let's call it what it is. It's a cleaning out.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get rid of some stuff. Maybe you won't. I loved this story. It is so real. How many keys do you have on your key ring? Do you know what all of them go to? This one poll found the average person has 9 keys and no idea what 3 of them are for. Yeah. Just there, I've got 3 keys here. And if you're anything like me, you have these spare keys in your junk drawer or still on your key ring because you are afraid to throw them out. Because what if I figure out what they go to? Or have you ever found like a loose screw lying on the kitchen floor, like underneath the cabinet, or lying on the floorboard of your car? And you're like,
yeah.
Where did this fall out of? And where does
this wasn't important?
I hope it wasn't important. But to me, it goes right with the unknown keys and the little screws. They get put in a little dish. They go in the junk drawer in the kitchen. And you hang on to them out of fear. What if I need it one day? Now, this is the reality of the situation. If you are, first of all, Mike, what's your confession? Do you have keys lying around? How many keys do you have? You got 4 children.
So this is going to sound, I'm not bragging, but I have 2 key rings. Okay. Not to brag like some big lifestyle, right?
Get a load of me.
I have 2 key rings. So for a long time, I had one that just had my car key on it.
Yeah.
Because that's like the one I carry with me in my pocket. Yeah. And I don't want to have all these keys in my pocket. Yeah. So I have just my key fob and that's it for my car. And then just my office key to get in our office. Well, then we bought another building and that's another building I work in. So I'm like, all right, well, so it's just like my key, my fob, this building and that building. And so then as we've added offices, like that key ring now has 9 keys on it. Actually 9 keys, which is funny that we're using this from this term. That is separate. None of those are my house key. None of those are my other stuff key because I don't have to use a house key. I park in the garage. It's just really weird. So now I have the second key ring and it has a bunch of crap. I don't know what it is on it. It's more than 3.
Okay.
So I have like my antiquated, my active keys and my very passive keys.
There it is. So the world of
when I read the story, I was like, oh man, I gotta do something about this. Yeah. It's tough.
Here's the thing, though. You're obviously not alone. As this study, like you were saying, it's funny, but also I think it lines up. The fact that you have 9 keys, apparently it's the average number for you listening or watching this podcast. If you also have 9 keys, no, you're not alone. You're here amongst friends in the judgment-free zone, in the world of spare keys and random screws sitting in a drawer someplace because you're afraid to throw them out. It's understandable. However, the parallels between the keys and the screws in the junk drawer scenario and our financial circumstance, I believe, are very real, particularly for folks who've been working very hard in their working years and they are just in the throes of it, right? The job is stressful. The hours are long. You got kids, maybe in college now, maybe out of college, and they're starting to think about their own kids, and you're just in all of that. And so what do? You got to the point where you're now 65 and suddenly, oh, shoot, you turn around, look, you got 401ks everywhere. You don't even know what's in them because when was the last time you went and really reviewed your 401k, much less brought them all together in one plan? So a couple of questions for you. How common is it, again, looking for friends in this space, how common is it you're sitting at the table with somebody and you say, okay, we did this review and here's this stock or here's this annuity, here's this ETF. Why do you even have this? And they go, I don't know. What if I need it? Like the spare key. What if I need it? I've had it forever. What if I need it? Or I don't even know why I have it. I don't even know it's there. And more importantly, because unlike a key or a screw that's not going to hurt you in the long run, it can be damaging if you have the wrong things in your portfolio. How do you help people clean stuff out?
Yeah. So if someone self-manages, like has actually actively been picking stocks and doing things, that's a completely different picture for us than someone who just has a 401k and has been doing it.
Okay.
To me, investing is a lot like going to the grocery store, because when you go to the grocery store, you get your cart and you kind of start walking through the store and you grab some things you need and throw them in the cart. There's a lot of options all around you, but there's different things we get. And so when we get our first job and we get our first 401k, maybe you go through and you pick a couple mutual funds and you throw them in the cart. And then maybe you get married and you need some term life insurance or mortgage replacement insurance, or you have kids and you need some, term. So you buy some term life insurance and you keep adding more money into your 401k. So you keep maybe buying some different things. Then you buy a home and that's an asset. So that goes in your financial portfolio a little bit in a unique way. Then maybe you buy some other insurances or an annuity or all the different things you buy through your life. And each one of those things has a cost. When I go to the store and I buy milk, I go to the checkout lane and whatever it said on the shelf or the cooler door when I grabbed it, that's what I expect to pay. And there's a cost for it. Every investment has a certain cost associated with it. If you buy individual stocks, the cost is risk. There's no inner fees or expense ratios. It's just risk. If you buy mutual funds, well, then there's fees charged by the fund manager. If you buy annuities, there's typically fees charged by the insurance company. And so there's these hidden fees that we don't really know about. And when I sit down and ask people, I say, well, how much do your investments cost you? They typically tell me, well, I pay about 1% per year. I say, you pay 1%. Where does that come from? Well, I pay an advisor 1% and they manage my portfolio. So that is the cost of hiring a personal shopper to walk through the store for you and buy your investments.
Right.
That is not the cost of the investments.
Okay. Whether
you shop or they shop, someone has to pay the fund manager at American Funds or the fund manager at Transamerica or the insurance company at Jackson or whatever. Someone has to be paid on the other end for picking the stocks. And then you're paying a personal shopper, an advisor, to go around and find the ones that you should use. So there's two sets of fees, but yet we only really are aware of the one. So that's one of the biggest issues I see. People have no clue what they're paying in fees because they think I'm just paying this advisor. But yet you have this, these growth funds, a Vanguard fund, a Fidelity fund, or whatever. And the person who works at Vanguard, the person who works at American Funds, they get paid as well because they're the one actually picking the stocks and buying and selling and manage the portfolio. So when we go through and understand this, that yes, I pay an advisor, but I also have to pay for the investments. And then we start digging in. So that I always start there. Who picks your funds?
Okay.
Well, I got a guy. Okay, great. Do you understand why they pick those funds? Well, I took a risk test and it came out to say I'm moderately conservative. And so as a result, they got me a moderately conservative portfolio, rebalances quarterly, whatever the thing is. Okay, great. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff.
Okay.
And then I say, all right, well, why did they choose these funds versus these funds? Why did they choose mutual funds versus ETFs? Because ETFs are often more liquid and they're less expensive.
Okay.
And I don't really know. I don't even know the difference between mutual funds and ETFs. Okay, well, let's educate. You have this annuity. Why do you have a variable annuity? Well, because I wanted income. Okay, did you price out maybe what an indexed annuity would do versus a variable? I don't know the difference. Then we educate on those things. There's just alternatives and a lot of times a less expensive way to the same end. Not everything is right for everybody. So I'm not going to say variable annuities are always wrong. Index annuities aren't always right. ETFs aren't always right and mutual funds aren't always wrong. But it's about understanding first. And a lot of people say, listen, I don't want to deal with that. I did, I was a pipe fitter for 40 years, or I sold cars, or I did whatever, and they just don't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if the grocery cart that you have full of investments is 2 to 3% more expensive than it should be, you could save a whole lot of money in your life by not overpaying in fees. Because when I go to the grocery store, if the milk is $3.69 a gallon, and when they scan it at the checkout lane, it's $8.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, you know what, you win today, Walmart. You win today, Kroger.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna say, hey, that's not $8. It's $3.69, and they're gonna get it right before we leave.
Right.
Because I don't want to spend an extra $4.50 on something I can get for $3.69. That's a couple dollars, and yet every single one of us would say, yeah, no, that's not what it was. It was a different price, and you don't want to cause a lot of static, but at the same time, I'm just not going to overpay. That's a couple dollars. Imagine if instead of $3, it was 3%. You have $1 million portfolio and you overpaid by 3%. That's a lot of money.
$30,000 a year.
Yeah, that's a lot of money in fees. Why would we allow that? Why wouldn't? Exactly. And sometimes it's not 3, it's 2 or 1.5 or a half. Even those numbers, that's real money you're giving away.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want your portfolio to be safer for the long term, don't overpay in fees, because they charge you fees whether it's a good year in the market or a bad year in the market, whether things are going well or things are going poorly. And sometimes the inner fees on certain mutual funds can get more expensive in a bad year because they have to do a lot of reorganization and a lot of selling and buying.
So the fees themselves can change year to year?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So they have inner fees in some of these variable annuities. Again, they're not all bad. There's some really, really good ones that I've actually really fallen in love with, even though I don't work with them. But if like the fund manager in a mutual fund has to do some rearranging, they have an expense ratio range, which is it can be this or that. And you don't know what the charges were until after the fact when you get the prospectus. You get the prospectus sent to you once a year, and you find out everything that was charged.
Yep.
Well, you can't go back and say, I want a refund. They're not going to do that.
No, because that's something else I've heard is in situations like that, you can actually end up paying for a fund that lost money that year. You're still paying your fees, even if the fund doesn't do well.
Well, yeah. And there's what's called phantom capital gains. So in a mutual fund, the capital gain is based on when the fund bought the money, not when you bought the fund. So if you had a mutual fund that bought Microsoft 20 years ago, and it's run up, and you bought it January 1st of this year, and let's say Microsoft's negative for the year. Well, if that fund sells out, you have to pay capital gains tax on the gains that the market that fund has had for years, even though you lost money. That comes out of your returns. You don't have to pay them out of pocket, but there is a fee that's paid there. It's called a phantom capital gain. Jeez. And it's really confusing. It's really messy. And the problem is when we go through the grocery store, when we check out, there's this big screen in front of us that tells us what every single scanned item gives. And you look at that and you know. And then they give you a receipt, a detailed printout that says, here's exactly what you paid.
And it's clear. You understand it.
It's very clear.
It's not filled with legal terms.
Right. And then in our portfolio, we get no screen to look at. We get no receipt. But at the end of the year, they send us a prospectus for every mutual fund or the variable annuity.
And you're expected to read through these you can't
hundreds of pages. And what? You can't even do anything about it. The only thing you can do is sell it and not pay it again next year. It's really, really tough on the consumer.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point of the X-ray, of the free look, of the completely transparent process to say, here's exactly what you're paying. Now, I've had some people come in and we do this, and I say, you're paying nothing in fees because it's all stock. There's no mutual funds, no ETFs, no annuities. It's all stock. So it's riskier than you are, but there is nothing in fees. So that's really pretty. But the question is, are you okay with the risk?
Right.
And if they are, then it's the right portfolio.
Right.
So it's just really about understanding and knowledge and knowing that it's not as simple as I pay 1% and I don't pay anything else. Most times there are some other hidden fees and some things you just don't know about. Now, a lot of good advisors are out there and they're disclosing everything. And that's what they should be doing. The fiduciary role is to give you all the information so you as the consumer and as the person who saved the money to begin with gets the best deal. That's the whole point of having a fiduciary, is someone who says, it's not even my money. It's your money that you worked 30 years to save.
Yep.
And so now I just got to make sure you get the best deal possible. That's what it's supposed to look like in the process.
Well, helping us figure out this process, obviously, what you and your team are here for. Portfolio X-rays, something you do every day, something that you work to show folks what's happening with their money, not just from a fee perspective, because as you said, there's so many other things that are involved in an X-ray process. What kind of income will that portfolio generate for you? What kind of taxes might you have to pay? That's a huge conversation. You want to talk about saving some money. What kind of taxes you might have to pay? How will this transfer on to your spouse or your kids, your grandkids once you're gone in a legacy plan? These are all the things that are involved, because once you go through this X-ray process, the next step, I guess, is then lining all these other things up, right?
Yeah. I mean, you go through and you figure out where you sit. Is it the right place? Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. And then from there, is there anything that needs to be fixed? Should we fix it? Do you want to fix it? Kind of all the different steps to it. So it's as basic as a conversation.
Okay.
With potentially no solutions, because stuff may be right.
Yeah.
But at least there you know.
Right.
And from there, because knowledge is power, right? Like once you know,
the more you know.
Yeah, that's it. It's like if I know, then I can feel comfortable.
That's it.
But when you start getting things exposed and you say, "Holy cow!" Like that's a lot. I'm paying 3% extra in fees
that you don't have to pay.
$15,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year. This is not a couple dollars on a gallon of milk. Mm-hmm. This is real money. Mm-hmm. So that's the power in knowing.
It's your money. It's your hard-earned money that you've worked for decades to accrue into this precious nest egg. So obviously you deserve to know what's really going on with it. This is what Mike and his team are here to help you with in a portfolio X-ray of your own. Let's get to work cleaning out your financial junk drawers and closets and educating you on your options. MichigansRetirementCoach.com is where to start the conversation. If you have questions for Mike and his team, they are here to help you get some answers. We also have links posted in the show notes. If it's more convenient, just click there. Or again, find us anytime. MichigansRetirementCoach.com.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit MichigansRetirementCoach.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.